Some awesome games are getting some awesome boosts on the Xbox Series platforms. NASA's not only flying choppers on Mars, they're making oxygen there too. And I've got my review of the new Mortal Kombat movie. All that and the latest and everything cool today in the Rundown. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Victor Lucas, and today we have got a terrific rundown for you, and it's brought to us by our friends at the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation, with tournaments going on every weekend. You won't want to miss out on the action. You can join up with them at tgs.gg. All right, today is dedicated to my friend James Brooks, who's in the chat and says, "Hello, all you awesome people." That's a very kind comment to make there, James, but you're absolutely correct. Everybody here is an awesome person. Let's get started with your rundown. So today started out pretty good. We have a new announcement from Xbox about FPS boost that's going to be affecting a bunch of really big EA games. They tweeted about it, and then they wrote a big post about it on the Major Nelson's page on Xbox.com. And the list is actually pretty impressive. It's growing and growing, and there were a bunch of EA games added to everything today. You can see Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4 and 5 and Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I thought it was pretty crazy that we're getting some Plants vs. Zombies type action in there that's going to get 120 frames per second boost, going up from, I think it was possibly hitting 60, which is pretty remarkable. So this is going to go up quite a bit. If you've got an Xbox Series S or an Xbox Series X, you have to activate it in your options. Of course, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is also getting a glorious upgrade to 120 frames per second, which is insane. Every time I see Star Wars Battlefront 2 graphics or visuals, I am just completely blown away. I want to drop everything and go back and play that. Same thing can be said for Titanfall 2, which is my personal favorite first-person shooter of all time. This also gets the boost up to 120 frames per second, and it's just a glorious, glorious experience. But it was also really cool to see games like Mirror's Edge Catalyst added to this list here as well. This is kind of a cult sensation. It was kind of weird for DICE to dip back into the pool here and bring us another parkour-flavored Mirror's Edge experience. But they did a pretty good job with Catalyst, and I think it'd be fascinating to check this out at 120 frames per second. Same thing with Battlefield 5, also from DICE, along with a nice collection of Battlefield titles out there. This was already, close to state-of-the-art when it came out a few years ago. I think 2018. We're going to have some Battlefield news coming up a little bit later in the rundown. But this is going to look insane at 120 frames per second. Sea of Solitude, which was an indie game that EA got behind. Pretty cool game. With some, dark story elements in there. It gets the boost up to 60 frames a second from 30 frames, and it has lots of really cool environmental puzzle mechanics and stuff like that. Same thing with Unravel 2, another indie EA Originals type experience, which was a little bit frustrating, I have to be honest, with its physics puzzle mechanics, but still beautiful, a very lovely and lush experience, and now it's all been upgraded to 120 hertz, which is pretty damn impressive. It feels like every day we're getting more good news out of the Xbox camp. We did get some pretty damn good news with Returnal. I was able to play that yesterday, and it's super exciting. And then Jim Ryan has been saying that they've got a bunch of stealth games that they have invested in that we don't know anything about that are going to be blockbusters. Lots of exclusives coming to PlayStation 5. But it does feel on the Xbox camp that there's like new additions and backwards compatibility and upgrades to previous games. It feels like, and of course the Game Pass story with things like MLB 21 and MLB The Show 21 added to it. All pretty remarkable. They're kind of on fire right now. All we need from Xbox is some exclusive stuff. Some of the huge studios that they've been buying to finally deliver some experiences that just feel, state-of-the-art and incredible and fresh. Kind of like what Returnal did yesterday. But we're going to move on. We are going into outer space, and we're going to talk about some of the cool stuff that NASA has been doing on Mars. this is something that's been in the works for a little while. Obviously, you don't just sort of flip a switch on this, but NASA's Perseverance Mars rover had a little system on it called MOXIE, which looks like a car battery. And what it does, it actually generates oxygen. It takes the carbon dioxide, I think carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide that's in the atmosphere on Mars, and it superheats it and converts it, separates the oxygen atoms and molecules, and actually creates oxygen, which is insane. They also released today a little bit more of a super detailed visual of the chopper that they've sent up there, the Ingenuity chopper that they flew from Earth, and it flew on Mars. And didn't fly very far, but you can see it lift off and take off and create a huge dust wave or dust path underneath it, which is really cool. But this whole MOXIE concept that NASA and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory is doing is incredible. MOXIE makes oxygen out of the carbon dioxide. It's kind of like a test thing that they sent up there to see if it was going to work, and it made enough oxygen, I think, to last an astronaut about 10 minutes. And it's all about future exploration, because if we ever send astronauts to Mars and they've got to be there for a little while, not only do they have to find some way to kind of breathe in the air a little bit better, but obviously they want to be able to get back home, and oxygen is used as propellant in the rocket fuel that would be required for them to lift off of Mars and come back to Earth. But isn't that freaking amazing? Within a week, they've created oxygen on another planet, and they've flown a helicopter, not to mention all the cool stuff that the rover's already doing. I'm just so impressed. I can't believe that's real life. It sounds like game mechanics, but it's actually happening on another world right now, which is crazy. All right, let's talk about that Mortal Kombat movie. Now, first of all, I want to say that Simon McQuoid, who I had a chance to speak with not too long ago, has done a pretty remarkable job there. He had to thread the needle with a very complex property, with lots and lots of characters, lots of over-the-top violence, and just insane elements and experiences, and just a fan, fervor for it. People just love Mortal Kombat. And so he had a big task in front of him. He knew that he did, and he put together a pretty damn fun movie. You can see there's a Goro sequence in the movie. This is a new character that Goro is fighting, played by Louis Tan. His name is Cole Young, and Cole Young kind of serves the movie as a conduit to the exposition, because there is a lot of backstory. This is rebooting the whole Mortal Kombat experience. They do throw in the classic Mortal Kombat theme music, but it's all brand new. And what's interesting about this movie is that it really felt like something out of the 90s, and I think it kind of had to feel like something out of the 90s, but it has a freshness in terms of production value. They don't skimp on violent sequences, and the fight sequences are really well put together, and all of the actors are up to the challenge. There's some really, really great acrobatic type stuff in here, and there's some really cool special effects. But in terms of performances and dialogue, I didn't really know too many of the actors. You've seen them in lots of movies. You'll see them Shang Tsung is played by Chin Han, who you've seen in lots of things. I think Joe Taslim is one of the most famous people in here. And I loved Hiroyuki Sanada. I think I tweeted yesterday that he's a total legend. He plays Scorpion. He's fantastic in this movie. But there are a lot of people that you may have seen filter across the screen before, but they haven't really been the center stage prime actors. Like Mehcad Brooks plays Jax in this, and he does an excellent job. And the thing that I can recognize him in is the Supergirl show. He was playing Jimmy Olsen. That's the only other place I've seen the guy, but he really does stand out. But there is this disconnect in familiarity with a lot of these actors, but that also allows them to kind of just inhabit the role, and I think that that's a pretty cool thing. It's not like we're seeing Oscar-worthy performances. They're not memorizing lines from an Oscar-worthy script or anything like that. It's kind of silly and over the top with some really crazy fatalities, and there are some gory bits. I was a big fan, actually, of this Liu Kang, who I've never seen before, or at least I didn't recognize from anything. And I forget what his name is. I forget the actor's name. Is Ludi Lin. He's great. And I also liked Max Huang as Kung Lao, who are terrific together. They're fantastic. They've got some really cool action beats in there. Everybody is up to it, you know. That's the cool thing. There's... I think that fighters were cast, people with some chops and some athletic gracefulness. And that, I think, serves the movie quite well, because that's what you're expecting. You're not expecting it to be a Christopher Nolan, Interstellar or something like that. This is not a Wes Anderson experience, although now that I've said that, I really want Wes Anderson to make a Mortal Kombat movie. How do we kickstart that? That would be amazing. So I think that it serves the property quite well. I think that these actors, they do a commendable job. I wasn't like blown away by anybody, and there were certainly moments in the movie where it felt like people were standing in front of green screens with crazy costumes on and kind of relishing the hamminess of it all. But I certainly had a smile on my face, and I certainly enjoyed the film, and I liked... the flourishes and the touches and the winks to the audience and the homages. And there are just enough of the cast of Mortal Kombat characters that we know and love in this movie to kind of, keep us super engaged. And, again, I think Simon McCoy did a really terrific job. This is his feature film debut. He's done a ton of work in production. He's worked in the video game space on commercials and things like that, and he's done some really good work in that direction. But this was a huge challenge for him to take on, and there's a go-get-'em kind of attitude about this movie. It's like prove the naysayers wrong. And I think people are going to come away quite happy. I think that this is going to be something that audiences really, really dig, and I think that the discerning Mortal Kombat fans out there are actually going to have a really good time with this. And I got to say, like, I didn't really fall in line with the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie. It's not something that's near and dear to my heart like it is for a lot of other people. And this isn't my favorite martial arts film or my favorite video game movie. I think that still is the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, believe it or not. But I actually really like Mortal Kombat. I thought it was pretty damn fun, and it served the property and the characters quite well. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. All right, let us move on. We've got a couple more things to talk about. One of them is Battlefield. Battlefield is coming back this year with a couple of different flavors. We're going to be getting Battlefield 6 or whatever they're going to subtitle it, but there's also going to be a mobile game, and the things are percolating, and I guess the speculation is that by E3 timeframe, we're going to get to see a lot more on whatever DICE is cooking up for Battlefield, and by the end of the year, we're going to be diving in. And it's interesting, obviously it's always been a fight between Battlefield and Call of Duty, but EA has always let DICE kind of run the show with regards to Battlefield. They haven't sort of sent it out to a bunch of different studios so they can annualize it. And also DICE has been working on the Battlefront game, so they've been going back and forth with their titles. And so it feels like we have fairly large breaks with Battlefield, and I think that serves the franchise quite well. I don't know if somebody asked me in chat, I think it was yesterday, whether I like Call of Duty or Battlefield more. And it's really hard to kind of qualify that because I think we're just pummeled by Call of Duty experiences. So you never can look away. Like there's always a Call of Duty in your face. And in all of those different variations of Call of Duty, I have a very good time. But I think that the quality bar is all kind of all over the place sometimes with Call of Duty titles, and Battlefield is pretty consistent, although it doesn't. I don't know if it's completely floored me and completely rocked my world like some Call of Duty games have in the past. So I think in this war of attrition, I guess I would be a bigger fan of Call of Duty, but who knows, man? EA and DICE might do it with this next Battlefield experience, and obviously PUBG and Call of Duty Warzone and Fortnite are huge experiences in the mobile space, and Battlefield wants a piece of that. So this year is when we're going to be getting Battlefield in a bunch of flavors. All right, I've got one more piece to talk to you guys about, and this is something that kind of hit my inbox as a nice surprise. It's a game called Tandem, A Tale of Shadows, and as you can tell, it's got a very unique Victorian art style with some classic newspaper articles, some almost like puppets or action figures or dolls. In terms of its design, and it's got a lot of it's a puzzle platformer with a really, really nice level of detail. Look at the lighting and the shadows and the reflection. It was a really slick looking experience. I don't know anything about this studio. I don't know who, the individuals are that have crafted this. All I can go by that looks interesting to me is that, this game looks really pretty. It looks really, really nice. So it's coming out this summer on a bunch of different platforms, and it looks like there's going to be a lot of scrolling type of experiences in there with lots of hyper detailed and hyper realized backgrounds and environments and stuff that you have to navigate through. A little bit like Little Nightmares, I guess. So it is kind of a naturalism and a realism, but there's also a surrealism and an animated sort of brushstroke throughout all of this as well. But it looks damn cool. We're going to find out a lot more about this game very soon. It comes out in the summertime. So that is called Tandem, A Tale of Shadows. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for the rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow with a fresh episode for you. Thank you to all of our subscribers out there, and thank you especially to all of our EPN members. We'll see you tomorrow, and until then, play forever.